The second half of the MSA South African Rally Championship got underway with the running of the Volkswagen Millennium Rally in the Eastern Cape. Rally headquarters were in Port Elizabeth, a city which combines the old and the new, and which has strong ties with the South African motor industry. Sponsor Volkswagen's headquarters are just down the highway in Uitenhage, with VW hoping for a third successive victory on a rally they've backed for 18 years. Leading the Group N Championship after 4 rounds were Team Total crew Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper, who are the reigning Class N2 champions. Breathing down their necks were reigning Group N Drivers champion Hannes Grobler and Brian Duncan. For Group N Championship leaders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper, an early concern prior to the start of the VW Millennium Rally.
We've had a problem. We had a bent valve a few days ago and we've sorted that out, but the tappet on the top there's got too much clearance, so it's running a bit loose, you know. So we're going to have to just watch the revs on the motor.
A surprise at the top of the Group A Championship leaderboard, with Team Total pair Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley in a Class A6 Toyota Corolla, leading reigning champions Jan Habak and Doug Judd in the Class A8 Sasol VW Golf 4 kit car. Leading the championship put pressure on the KwaZulu-Natalians, but Lawrence was determined to take it all in his stride.
To stay there is obviously there's a little bit of pressure, but I don't want to think about that now. I think the next rally is the issue. Try and get top 3 position is my aim for this one. If it's higher than second place, obviously it'll be great, yeah.
8 special stages were scheduled for day 1 of the VW Millennium Rally, with the route taking in stages in Port Elizabeth, Uitenhage and the Longmore Forest area.
It all went quite well until it stopped raining in April. Our normal rain season is 800 millimeters and we had 600 of it before Easter. And the last 6 weeks was very hot. We had 27, 28 degrees day temperatures, which was a real summer weather. And all of a sudden it's dry. The forest started burning in Tsitsikamma and the guys this side started panicking a bit. And we had to make special measures to get the rally on track, keep the rally on track. And that meant that for the moment spectators will be banned out of the forest unless we have some more rain during the night.
There were also early problems for Class N1 Championship leaders Rodney Fasaki and Carolyn Swan. Amid pre-start tension, there was frantic activity around the Team Total Toyota Taz.
We've just found all the head bolts are loose on the car and the plugs are filing up for some unknown reason. Just driving it to the start now. We don't know what the problem is, but now I think we've broken a head bolt, so I don't know if we'll start. We'll see what happens.
Only trading a little in the championship, does that bring any additional pressure to bear on you?
Yeah, as far as the points are concerned, you know, everyone's got a drop in event, so we've now done that. So Serge, you know, our second position in the championship at this stage is not a big problem as far as we are concerned, as long as we have good results on the remainder of the season. The pressures are really in terms of that the sponsors are Volkswagen, so they would expect Volkswagens to do well, and you know, our own expectations are of course that we must do well. So you know, the pressures are there and we've just got to go out there and do the job.
The opening special stage on the rally was a super special at the Aldo Scribanti race circuit, and mixed emotions were mirrored by drivers and navigators as they sat out the last minutes before the start. The popular super special stages see 2 cars out on the course at the same time. The opening matchup was a clash between the Class A8 Sasol VW Golfs of reigning champions Jan Habak and Doug Judd and Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding. Race cam action is from both Sasol VW Golfs, with the super special stage making use of the Aldo Scribanti race circuit, access roads and portions of the infield, which provided for a combination of tar and dirt surfaces. While Van der Walt and Harding tackled a tight infield section in the Aldo Scribanti pit area, Habak and Judd were in full cry on the circuit itself and heading for a short dirt section. As always, the Habak-Judd approach to the job at hand was to be full of aggression.
And 90 left slow, 90 left slow. Straight on the track, keep right on the track.
The tussle between the 2 Sasol VW crews was turning into a nip and tuck affair, with Van der Walt and Harding putting plenty of pressure on the pre-event favourites. It was Havoc and Judd who held a slight advantage over their teammates, and at the flying finish, the reigning South African champions were just 1 second ahead of Van der Walt and Harding. There was another interesting matchup when 7-time South African champion Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson in the dealer Team Toyota Corolla came up against championship leaders Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley in the Team Total Toyota Corolla. Racecam action here is from the Team Total car, and at the start of the season, few rally fundies would have put money on Lawrence and Paisley leading the championship at the halfway mark in a Class A6 car. The KwaZulu-Natal pair scored 2 second places, a third and a fourth in events leading up to the VW Millennium Rally, and it was this consistency which had taken them to the top of the table. Lawrence and Paisley set the third fastest time, and there was also a solid start from Class A7 contenders Johnny Gemmell and Errol Finnis in a Nissan Sentra. Group N championship leaders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper were a little wild and woolly in the Team Total Toyota Corolla, with the pair doing a little more off-roading than was called for on the route schedule. No harm done, but the Aldo Scribanti showstoppers were Jackie Joubert and Darnie Smith. The 4x4 Jojo Tanks VW Beetle, powered by a turbocharged Volvo motor, is a favourite around the country, with Joubert and Smith again putting on a spectacular display.
300, 9 yum. 200, 9 yum. 1, 2.
After a second super special stage on the outskirts of Uitenhage that was subsequently cancelled, it was into the first of the dirt special stages. The early part of the stage was characterised by a series of yumps, which place a great deal of stress on machinery, with crews treating them with caution. Jan Haddock and Doug Judd were starting to build up a head of steam in the Sasol VW Golf, and were now into an early lead. Behind the Sasol VW crew, a puncture delayed Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson in the dealer Team Toyota Corolla, and they found themselves down in 4th place. Now ahead of the factory crew, championship leaders Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley in the Team Total Toyota Corolla were fighting over 2nd place with the 2nd Sasol VW Golf in the hands of Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding. Following Toyota's decision at the start of the season not to run in Class A8, but concentrate on Class A6, Lawrence and Paisley have come into their own, with Lawrence taking to the Toyota Corolla RSI like a duck to water. Battle lines had been drawn between the two Class A6 Toyotas and the Van der Walt Harding VW Golf, and there were only seconds separating the three cars, with Havoc and Judd looking to extend their lead once the rally moved into the Longmore Forest special stages.
And what are the conditions like?
Well, so far the roads are very dry, but it's been very quick and fast, so we haven't really got to the real stages yet, so maybe the next few will be proper rally stages.
Over in the Toyota camp, the rally had not started off on a positive note for factory crew Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson.
The last stage we had it quite clean. The previous stage we had a puncture, and things are, I hope they can start coming right.
For another Toyota crew, Group N championship leaders Saunders and Hooper, the Uitenhage Super Special provided the pair with more headaches.
Some problems on the Super Special.
Yeah, we had a couple of problems on the second Super Special. The tyre, we locked up, and it's a hell of a abrasive, you know, and it just wore straight through the tyre. And we went round the hip, and obviously it was understeering, and the wheel just went into the stormwater drain. So we basically sat there for 2 minutes trying to push the car down and get it out again. So we've lost 2 minutes at the moment.
In front of the field, an interesting situation was also starting to unfold in Class A7. KwaZulu-Natal crew Tony Ball and Marty Olivier were on a charge in the Bulwer Park VW Golf. After breaking a side shaft in the Aldo Scribanti Super Special, the KwaZulu-Natalians were pushing hard and started the event lying 2nd in the Class A7 championship. A strong Volkswagen contingent in Class A7 was bolstered by former Port Elizabeth traffic cop Keith Coleman and Rolls-Royce employee Uwe Koch, who were added to the Sasol stable before the start of the VW Millennium Rally. Up against a bevy of VW Golfs were Gauteng crew Johnny Gemmell and Errol Finnis in a lone Nissan Sentra, with the pair taking the early lead in the class. Also ganging up on Gemmell and Finnis in the VW versus Nissan clash were local crews Kees Klein and Dolph Coetzee and Adrian Karth and Rikus Faria, who already have a Class A7 win to their names this season. At a service point, some budding stars of the future with cars of their own design were on their way home after a spot of shopping, while Class A7 leader Johnny Gemmell reported a few early hiccups.
Took it a bit easy to start off with. We had a slight problem on the second stage, but we're all right.
What problems did you have?
The side shaft kept on moving out a little bit, but we'll sort that out a bit later on this evening when we've got some more time.
As expected, reigning champions Jan Hammock and Doug Judd started to edge away from their closest rivals when the rally moved into the Longmore forests. Behind the rally leaders, Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson were starting to make up ground in the dealer team Toyota Corolla, and their scrap with Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley in the team total Toyota Corolla, and the Sasol VW Golf crew of Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding was in full swing. Race cam action is from the Lawrence-Paisley car with late afternoon sun, often posing additional problems for drivers and navigators. After a season that has not been all that kind to them so far, Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding were finally running to potential and chose a good time to hit top form. At the top of the Group N and Class N3 standings, Hannes Krobler and Brian Duncan were looking comfortable in the total Bridgestone Nissan Sentra, and were holding off Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper, who led Class N2 by a narrow margin from Cape Crew, Stefan van Dijk and Mark Pym in another Toyota Corolla. Johnny Gemmell and Errol Finnis still led Class A7 in the Nissan Sentra and were looking at a top 5 placing at the overnight halt. It was an impressive performance from a crew in their first season of national rallying, while down in Class N1, Rodney Fasapi and Carolyn Swan were running at the front of the class in the team total Toyota Taz. The final special stage of the day was a short spectator-oriented affair at Kings Beach in Port Elizabeth, with plenty of activity in the service area before the start. Jan Hammock and Doug Judd were in a comfortable lead in the Sasol VW Golf, and most of the service park interest centered around the Damso-Hodgson dealer team Toyota Corolla. The pair were still running third behind Hammock and Judd and Lawrence and Paisley, but had run into a gearbox problem. Hard-pressed Toyota service crew were working against time to get their Chargers back into action.
Well, the last stage, the 30k stage, we had a gearbox problem, and we're just actually lucky just to get here, and we're losing all the gears. So I hope they can sort of change it in time.
We actually enjoyed today so far because the tar stages wasn't bad, and especially the last dirt stage was a magnificent stage. I mean, the surface was so good, and it was just the 12-10 stage.
There was also a repair job for Class A7 leaders Johnny Gemmell and Errol Finnis. With Gemmell's parents lending a helping hand, the team's sideshaft problems were being sorted out.
No, we had this problem earlier in the day. Now we've got some time to sort it out. The axle keeps moving out, so we've got some spaces, thicker spaces we want to fit in there.
Also raving about the penultimate special stage of the day was Etienne Lawrence.
Yeah, it was 31 k's of sheer bliss. I mean, it's a lovely stage. It's a pity the sun dropped a little bit low, and you know, sections you couldn't see a thing. But the last section, we always used to say up to that other stage, it was lovely. Why don't they use the road? And today they did, and it was absolutely fantastic. That last section was downhill, sheer drops, and it was really lovely. Yeah, it was a lucky stage.
A 78-second lead for Jan Hammock and Douglas Judd, with just 46 seconds separating the next 3 cars. A great performance from Gemmell and Finnis in 5th place, and another strong showing from the Group N work for leaders Jan Hammock and Doug Judd in the Sasol VW Golf 4. The weather had also turned nasty overnight, with light rain making life more difficult for crews, but Hammock and Judd had the luxury of a comfortable lead. They were still in control of the rally, but behind them, problems were looming for Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley. They started the day in 2nd place with a 32-second cushion over Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson, but the dealer Team Toyota pair were on a charge and making up time. Damso and Hodgson did not have a happy day 1, and were now forced into a role that called for out-and-out attack. Race cam action is from the dealer Team Toyota, and with the chips down, Damso and Hodgson were rising to the challenge. Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding were still part of the 3-way battle behind Hammock and Judd, and were a major threat to the 2 Toyota crews. Johnny Gemmell and Errol Finnis were still in a strong 5th place, but the Nissan Sentra was around 2 minutes adrift of the Van der Walt Harding Sasol Golf. Gemmell and Finnis were being chased by Class S20 leaders Jackie Joubert and Dani Smit, although the Jojo Tanks VW Hybrid was not eligible to score championship points. Hannes Krobler and Brian Duncan were still in control of the Group N category and Class N3, but behind them, Group N championship leaders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper were also under attack. The Team Total pair were now embroiled in a battle with Jean-Pierre Damso and Johan Klaassen in the Class A6 Team Total Toyota Corolla, and Cape Crew Stefan van Dijk and Mark Pym, who are now 2nd in Class N2. The Central Service Park in the Longmore Forests, with Jan Hammock and Douglas Judd still in a commanding lead. While service crew worked on the Sasol VW Golf on a wet, cold and windy morning, Hammock was enjoying a cup of hot coffee, but still managed to look a little grim. Over at the Toyota service point, there was jollity among driver, navigator and team bosses, but that masked some serious concerns with service personnel hard at work on another gearbox change for the Damso Hodgson car.
Yes, we have a gearbox problem again, and we don't quite know what the cause of this problem is yet. We'll have to find that out next week when we strip these gearboxes. We haven't had any problems before, luckily. But yesterday and today has been a bad day for gearboxes, so we hope to fix that as soon as we get back. And I hope we get this one back in time for him not to lose any time to the next stage.
A field day for poster and autograph hunters, and veteran Hannes Krobler reflects on young talent coming to the fore in rallying.
No, there's some very, very good talent coming up, and I'm very impressed, and that's why I said, yeah, Group N is a good learning school probably for them, and that is why it's so good that we are there, you know. I mean, then they can compare times and compare it, and they learn and whatever, and I'm glad for them. I mean, there was a lot of saying previously that there's no up-and-coming young drivers, and I'll tell you what, navigators and drivers, they are there. They must just get the right chance.
The Longmoor Forests were again the battleground early on day 2 of the VW Rally, with 4 long special stages always likely to affect the balance of power. Conditions were not getting any better, but Jan Habak and Douglas Judd were gradually edging further away from those doing the chasing. Behind the Sasol VW Golf, Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley were hanging on to second place. But the team total pair were now under severe pressure from Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson. The dealer team crew took 25 seconds off the team total entry on the first 2 stages of the day and were piling on the pressure. There was also plenty of pressure for Class N2 leaders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper in a team total Toyota Corolla that was sounding a little off song. Saunders and Hooper also lost ground on the first 2 stages of the day and were coming under siege from Stefan van Dijk and Mark Pym. Like Damso and Hodgson, the young Cape crew were on an early morning charge. Also starting to move into the Class N2 picture were Kobus Roos and Neil Faree, who had a disappointing day 1 in the SALive.com Toyota Corolla. Up at the central service point, Habak had decided the time had come for a change in tactics.
Is that a problem? Yeah, no, not really. It's just that I think it's getting wet enough now to start using wet tyres. So the traction wasn't very good in this stage, so we might have lost a bit of time, but it's not serious. We'll fix it soon.
For co-driver Cindy Harding in the second Sasol VW Golf, all was well.
So far the rally's going quite well for us. We're just taking it easy. Obviously we're trying to nurse the car, being an older car than everybody else has, but the roads are absolutely beautiful. We're hanging in behind Serge and Etienne. I'm just adding up the gaps now because there's only a 40 second gap between us and Serge. So it's very, if anybody has a puncture or any slight problem, it's very close between second, third and fourth. So we're just kind of keeping an eye on everybody.
For the kids, more posters and autographs at the Longmoor Central Service Point. But for service crew, it meant hard work in trying conditions with a lot of work going on around the RCS Auto Toyota of Cape crew Kobus Edis and Derek Jacobs. There to provide support, a group of family and friends who'd made the long trip from Cape Town.
It's all friends, from a lawyer to you name it. And all the guys are doing for the sake of the sport. And they love it.
This is one big happy family. The husbands help keep the car on the road and the wives keep all the men on the road. You know, they keep us fed and look after us while we're on the rally. It's one big family.
Back on the rally route, Jan Habak and Doug Judd were now around 90 seconds clear of the fight going on for second place between the Toyota contingent. The dealer team pair of Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson were still hauling in championship leaders Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley, while stage 11 saw an over-enthusiastic Johnny Gamble and Errol Finnis give themselves a wake-up call. The pair still led Class A7, but in the next special stage were to fall by the wayside with a mechanical problem. Creeping towards top 5 place and leading the Group N category and Class N3 by a healthy margin were Hannes Krobler and Brian Duncan in the total Bridgestone Nissan Sentra. The spectacular Jackie Joubert and Darnie Smith still led Class S20, but no championship points were at stake for the Groblersdal crew. Behind them, Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper were also a little over-enthusiastic, but their scrap with Stefan van Dijk and Mark Pym was to end on the next special stage when van Dijk and Pym crashed heavily. Further down the field, Kobus Edis and Derek Jacobs were still going well in the RCS Auto Toyota, while reigning champions Rodney Fasaki and Carolyn Swan had a tight hold on Class N1 in the team total Toyota Taz. The service area at the end of special stage 11 and more drama. Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley dropped a minute through a mysterious misfire, and that cost them second place.
Try to check those plugs and things, but I can't see anything, man. Just started to cut out 4Ks from the end. Starting to misfire like that all the time. And there's no back brakes. Oh, I don't know what's wrong. We'll check now. There's something to do with this. I think a pipe might have burst down there, because as soon as I hit the brakes, it started sputtering again.
More drama was to follow, and 4 special stages from home. Rally leaders Jan Habak and Douglas Judd dropped 3 minutes. The next special stage was at Willow Dam in Uitenhage, and it was clear that something serious was amiss under the bonnet of the Sasol VW Golf. Habak and Judd dropped another minute and plummeted down to 3rd place. Now into the lead were Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson, the dealer team Toyota Corolla, and the whole complexion of the VW Millennium Rally had altered. Hannes Probler and Brian Duncan were still in a secure lead at the top of the Group N category and Class N3, but were being chased by Jean-Pierre Damso and Johan Klaassen, and Saunders and Hooper were in total control of Class N2. The penultimate special stage at Aldo Scribanti and the end of the road for Habak and Judd. The Sasol VW Golf's motor finally gave up the ghost with a second retirement of the season, a massive blow to their championship hopes. At the end of the season, competitors are allowed to drop 1 score from their overall tally, and the 2 non-finishers now place Habak and Judd under enormous pressure in the 3 remaining events. All that was left was for Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson to put the finishing touches to their second win of the season in the dealer team Toyota Corolla. The final special stage was at a wet and windswept Kings Beach, with Damso and Hodgson cruising around to complete a 1-2 triumph for Toyota. The factory pair finished 1 minute and 25 seconds ahead of Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley, with Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding salvaging some pride for Volkswagen with a gritty 3rd place in the Sasol VW Golf. That also gave them Class A8 honours, with another superb performance taking Hannes Probler and Brian Duncan into 4th overall. With it went Group N and Class N3 honours. Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper were 6th overall and won Class N2, with the team total Toyota Corolla still not sounding all that healthy. And finishing with a flourish were Jean-Pierre Damso and Johan Klaassen. They were delighted with their first finish of the season, while VW Motorsport manager Johan Everter put on a brave face.
It's been a very disappointing event for us. We had an overheating problem the 3rd last stage, and then suddenly we had the engine problem in the 2nd last stage. So yet so close and yet so far. But we certainly will be back, and we will analyze the problem and rectify whatever is needed.
A triumph for Toyota in enemy territory, with 7 cars finishing in the top 10. There were also 3 class wins for Toyota, with 2 for Volkswagen and 1 for Nissan. The Toyota Cup was overflowing, and delighted winners Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson were not shy when it came to spraying around the champagne.
Well, a victory with a 1600 has always been very good, and amazing little car. What they go through and the hidings they get, but very surprised and very happy.
It was a very, very nice day for us today. We had a big days nearly to the end until Van Dijk and them rolled their car. But all the other youngsters give us a good run for our money, and we're glad to be ahead of them and winning Group N overall here, and also 4th overall on the whole rally.
Those were the mud, sweat and gears of the VW Millennium Rally.